Hello again, everybody. Anthony Austin here, doing my second video for our inexpensive rifle. Um, it's the title for this series is a little bit sarcastic, but it's not really to discredit the idea of spending little and getting a lot. Knowing your system is and knowing how it performs and what actually the changes you make, the outcome is going to be is probably more important than the sheer amount of money you're going to spend. That being said, to get quality, you normally have to spend a little bit more. Uh, for now, the rifles, basically, I'm going to have it set up besides the scope, which I'm eventually going to replace with an American-made model. I just got to find the one I want. Alright, we're going to start off with what you need to do to prep for the range, the steps you need to go through before you even put a round down through the rifle. A little bit of prep work now will save you a little heartache later on. We're going to talk about cleaning and the methods for mounting the scope, as well as how to do a quick bore sight, so when you go down out to the range you're not using up a lot of ammo just trying to get it on paper. With that, we'll get right into the how-to. Alright, cleaning. First up we're going to do is gather supplies, including your solvent, which I have here. I have a few various oils as well, a stiff nylon brush, weapons cleaning brush, a couple of rods with a patch rim, and a bore brush. Use a copper brush here. Also have a bore snake with another patch holder to send through really wet. I don't like to use the ram for that. Also, we have a terry cloth here to wipe off any excess oil. Got some patches for the bore, and we're all set. Alright, the first step here we're going to do in the cleaning is to do a quick disassembly. Move the bolt from the receiver, and remove the receiver and barrel from the stock. We're going to set the stock aside for now. If you want to clean that of any oil, you're going to just go ahead and rinse it with some hot water and some soap, and then rinse it out real good. First things first, we're going to use some solvent here, and we're going to scrub the bolt with it. Get all the little nooks and crannies, make sure it's all scrubbed real well with the solvent, and then set it aside and let it sit. After it's sit for a couple minutes, go ahead and wipe off any excess solvent you have there. And next step, we're going to douse it with REM oil or any oil you have on hand. I'm using the REM oil because it has a Teflon, and I really don't need a CLP on this right now. Once that sit for a little while, let the REM oil displace the solvent and penetrate. We're going to wipe it down. First, while we're waiting for that to soak, we're going to put some more solvent and start working on the action here. Get all the pieces. A lot of the factories will smear these with packing grease. It's brown, nasty grease that kind of slows down the bolt on the inside. I'm just going to scrub the outside here and then work on the interior. Once that's done, you're going to let it sit, and here's your chance to wipe down the excess REM oil. And we're going to douse the action and barrel receiver here in REM oil, kind of displace any of the solvent. As you can see, a lot of that goo coming off now. Clean rag, just wipe down the interior just a little bit, and it's already all brown. So we're getting a lot of that excess packing grease off. If you want, when you're done, you can blow out any excess with compressed air. Once you're done, reassemble, and you're ready for the next step. Now we're going to prep the bore for shooting. We're going to douse a patch with solvent, really a lot of solvent on this patch. Make sure we wet down the bore really well. Run it through here a couple times. One. And supposedly this rifle's never been fired, but as you can see, a lot of goo coming out of this one. So we're going to run it through again, and we're going to let it sit for a minute afterwards, but I'm just going to skip ahead. Alright, after working it through, let it sit for a little while, and then we're going to run a bore brush through. Definitely don't change directions of the brush inside the bore. You're going to run it all the way through and drag it all the way back out. Do that just once. Let it sit for a little while longer. And then we're going to put a dry patch through here. Ram the dry patch through. As you can see, a lot of the solvent came out. It's actually got a little bit of a green color on it. Next, we're going to use CLP, and we're going to use a lot of CLP in order to displace the solvent down through. We're going to run a couple CLP patches through, or patches with CLP on through. Checking it out. And I'll let the CLP sit for a few minutes after we run it through. And finally, we're going to use clean bore patches until we don't get any more discoloration. Just keep running them through, running clean ones through. On the scope mounting, first things first, we're going to mount the rifle in a vise and then level it off. And now we're going to put on the lower rings and tighten them down. Once the lower portion of the rings are on, we're going to want to recheck to make sure everything stayed nice and level. Everything nice and level, we'll have to adjust it. We're going to go ahead and put the scope in the rings. And put the upper rings on. Don't want to make them too tight. You still want them to be able to. You still want the scope to be able to slide fairly freely back and forth and side to side in the rings, so we can make adjustments to it. Alright, the ring's all finger tight. We're going to go ahead and check our, see how far back we have it set. Make sure we got full line of sight right. Eye relief is set. We're going to go ahead and level using the top turret. We're going to go ahead and level the scope in the bases. Once everything is level, we're going to go ahead and tighten down all the rings. Just a little bit more than finger tight. Really should be done with a small torque wrench, torque screwdriver essentially. But I don't have one of them, so it's just going to have to be a little more than finger tight. And there we go. Alright, next is we're going to go ahead and bore set the rifle. First thing you're going to do is gather up everything you need. You got the rifle, take off the caps. You got some books or something to use to prop up the stock of the rifle, level it off with whatever target you're aiming at, and then we're going to remove the bolt. Alright, we have a target set up about 25 feet away inside my house here. This looks similar to this. This is what we're going to be aiming at. Use about a red dot with about a 1 inch bigger round to be able to see it through the bore of the rifle, but also small enough where you can actually see around the outside of it through the bore while looking at it from the back of your rifle. Alright, as you can see, we have the target dot centered in the bore, and here's where it is, where the crosshairs are aiming at on the sight. I'm going to here check the bore again, make sure we're still centered, and then slowly, without bumping the rifle, start adjusting the elevation down. Once the elevation is set, we're going to go ahead and, again, without bumping the rifle, adjust the windage in order to get the everything centered, point of impact, point of aim.